Hello everyone, my name is Or. One of our new goals is to implement the new technologies into the cities, and this could be a real game changer. This is the topic of this panel. This could be a real game changer for the cities as we know them today. I delight to introduce the panel members. Mr. Antoine Massaville, Director of the Renault Lab Innovation in Israel, Dr. Smadar Itzkovitz-Onego, Director of Ashdod Smart Mobility Living Lab and Head of Industry Development Division in Ashdod Municipality, Mr. Thomas Grimm, the CEO and co-founder of SONA from Germany.
COO.
COO, yeah, sorry. Mr. Tal Ater, co-founder of DAV, blockchain-based transportation network. Mr. Eric Gandreme, the COO and co-founder of ISFM. And Mr. Hanan Friedman, the CEO of TrackNet. So, first of all, I would like each one of you to introduce themselves and their activity. Okay, please start.
So Antoine Massaville, I'm in charge of the Alliance meaning Renault, Nissan and Mitsubishi Innovation Lab we have in Israel. So we are trying to make the connection with the various startups that we can find in the mobility ecosystem to scout them. So it means to identify those companies, but also to screen it. So it means to go deeply in the technology they are proposing, and then to have a POCs or prototyping. So it means we will have a facility where we will have not only offices, desks and so on, but also cars and computers and so on. So we'll be able to apply those technologies, those services, and then to check that it's relevant for our 10 brands, because Renault, Nissan and Mitsubishi is 10 million car a year, 10 brands, 500,000 people working together. So we have to tune also the various startup proposal to our various needs, because we have unique different customers.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Smadar. I came 10 years ago from the high-tech sector to the municipality in order to do something significant for the community. And I am the head of the development industry unit in Ashdod Municipality. I'm working directly with the mayor. And the last years I'm involving in establishing in MIT with MIT University Living Lab. It's a new and innovative concept that build the platform for collaboration between the private-public people partnership. And we are starting with the smart mobility.
Nice. My name is Thomas. I'm really happy that I was invited to the panel. I'm from Germany. We founded the company 2 years ago. We developed a machine learning sensor platform for the future city, which digitalizes the space surrounding the sensor. And the cool part of the system is that you can install it anywhere in the city, like in street lights, buildings, traffic lights. And since we're doing edge computing, we have an almost latency-free possible communication for all vehicle-to-X use cases. And this is the most important part, actually. And we start with solving the parking problem, digitalizing parking, but this is actually just the beginning. We can do way, way more than this, detecting the stream of people in the street and sending that information to cars and so on and so forth, or automated payment. That would be an interesting case. Yeah, we're set up in 12 cities in Germany right now, customers like Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Siemens and Co. And looking for new partnerships and customers.
I'm Tal from DAV. DAV is Decentralized Autonomous Vehicles. It's a platform that allows vehicles to find other vehicles around them, as well as passengers, drivers, infrastructure, services. It allows them to communicate and work together. So that's a pretty dry explanation of what it is, but when you take all of that, you can actually create an open marketplace for transportation on top of that. And one of the actually first things we did was we took a network of delivery drones, and we taught those drones how to sell their services on an open network. So now anyone can take a phone and order a drone to deliver a package for them. And then we connected more services to the same network, like charging services or allowing the drone to purchase services such as how to fly from point to point, so route calculation. So by teaching the drones how to buy services and sell services, you can make them a lot more interesting. And obviously drones are just the first use case. We're looking into autonomous cars in the future, but looking at the here and now, we're looking at connecting drivers with parking spots, connecting cities with data, connecting people on the street with electric scooters. So things that are very concrete in the here and now.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric. I'm co-founder of Mila Group. Mila Group is a French startup car manufacturer shuttle. And this company is made up to two other companies, very strong expertise on the autonomous sector. One is ISFM. ISFM, it's informatic company. We create AV system and a lot of software to manage autonomous shuttle. And the second one called OBH, we're in charge to experimentation for new mobility. And we have actually 2 sites in France where we can test our technology for the shuttle. This shuttle it's launched on next CES on January, and I hope to see you soon in the CES in January to discover our new shuttle. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hanan Friedman. I am the CEO and the founder of TruckNet. TruckNet is cross-company optimization. We know today that 30% on the road of truck and bus go empty. It's a huge number. And we know that most of the company try to make optimization inside the company. They don't look outside what's happening. And they have a lot of empty mile. And we see that on the road every day. When we go, we see a lot of truck. And think about that, every 10 trucks we go empty. And we see that in the rush hour. And it's not normal. And we need to find a solution. TruckNet, our unique in our system that we connect the big player in the market, the company with the ship that bring the cargo, the company that bring from the air the cargo, the train, the company of truck, and the logistica company. And like that, we collect all that data and we make analysis to the data again. And like that, we can find a solution for the empty mile. Let's say that company go now from Paris to Lyon. She put the cargo and then she have to go to Grenoble to take another cargo back to Paris. In the middle, we have 150 kilometers empty. If we know that another company needs solution to that way, like that we can make it that it's not going to be in the same road 2 trucks. We can do it with 1 truck. If we speak about Ashdod city, you go in the morning and you see a lot of trucks that go inside to the port to take cargo. You see that 25% of them come empty. And it's not possible because if they go empty, it says that when they go out, 25% go empty. But if we think about that, the same truck that can bring the cargo from the port, they can take the cargo out. If we have optimization that go up and look about all the picture, all the data, we can management that better. And this is the idea about TruckNet. Something more that in TruckNet that most of the system that everybody know here today, like Uber Cargo or Get Taxi, work from the mobile. Our version work like that. We connect to the company of the logistica or the company of the truck. We connect to the telematic system in the truck, and we connect to the mobile of the driver. This is the interface of the driver. Like that, we can make a big party with that data. We can think about driver behavior. We can think about saving, and all the regulation inside. This is TruckNet.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question for you all is, how do you feel that the smart mobility activity that you are doing in the cities is a game changer? Okay,
All at the same time, or
one by one.
less interesting? My feeling is, as a car maker, we have so many things to propose to cities, but whatever, I think cities will have to decide it, because they know who are the customer, what are the needs, and all those needs and so on will change, are changing. So whatever, as producing electrical vehicles for years and years, for sure, the fact that you are using an EV is really a very good thing for the city, without any noise, without any pollution. It's very smooth to accelerate, but also to decelerate and so on. So, and a car with an EV is not only a car, it's also a battery. And this battery could be used also for exchange of energy between the city or building and the car during the night or during the day. And so, as we are producing also electricity with resources that are renewable, you have usually, wind during the night, but not during the day, and so on. So the batteries of those cars could be used as a kind of a temporary backup to charge the energy and then to reuse it at the right moment. Also, when you have cars that are connected and you are in a city and the city can have access to this data, it means that it's easier at least to operate the car, or at least to know where is the car, where is it going, and so on. For sure, there are a lot of stories about GDPR and so on. But whatever, it means that the car is a kind of IoT. It's not just one IoT, because in one car you have between 30 to 70 computers, ECUs inside the car. So it's more 70, let's say, IoT instead of one. But whatever, it means also you can have a lot of information from this local network. And also, as cars are becoming step by step autonomous, it will change completely the way people are enjoying city, because we hope all that we will reduce traffic jam with buses, train and so on. But it means also that those cars will no more need to be parked. So it means just try to imagine that in a city you can remove all the places to park cars. It can be on the road, but it can be also on the basement and so on. So imagine the kilometers, the square kilometer you can win by having those cars not stopping just to catch someone and so on. And so it will be for sure also a really big game changer for cities. And the last step, let's say, for an autonomous car is to become a kind of shuttle, like ICFM is proposing. And if it's no more a car but a shuttle, is it a private way to move? Is it a public way to move? Is it just for the last mile and so on? So it means also having shuttle, autonomous shuttle, will change a lot the way we are using mobility. And so the big story also about that is going to the mobility as a service. So no more owning a car. You can own a car if you want to have a Ferrari or you want to enjoy a specific car and so on. But it means when you have to move from one place to another, the complete proposal made to the customer, to various people in the city, is completely different. I'm pretty sure that today we don't have any precise answer, but Smadar can precisely give a direction. But whatever, I think we are able, as a car maker, with services also, because we are already operating cars in Europe. Okay, we bought, for instance, Karoo, Marcel, RC Mobility, and so. So we have also companies that are able to operate taxis like not so famous as Uber and Get Taxi and so on, but we have this kind of sort of feature. But whatever, it means that we have a lot of tools that we can try to propose to cities, but also try to catch what are the needs from the various cities and try to adapt the way we are also proposing our services and cars and so on. And so I think it's really a very interesting moment to be there now that all those things are coming, also with the blockchain and so on. So it means so many things are possible, and we have to all work together, I think, to be able to merge our energy, our ideas, and to see what could be relevant for the next step of city, that is smart city with smart guys also inside. Yes. Not just smart cities, but also smart guys.
Most important. So
Okay,
you mentioned, thank you. You mentioned the collaboration. So game changer is, in one hand, a buzzword, but in the other hand is a very practical word. Because you say, everybody says smart city, everybody say smart mobility, but you have to start from something. And something that can influence our life is, first of all, the safety. I'm representative, I'm the only representative of the city.
Yes.
So I will speak about safety. And we decided to start with something that is really, really important for the community, for the government, for the municipality, to reduce the number of fatalities, to prevent some traffic accidents, etc. But in order to implement programs that will improve the safety, we need data, we need technology, and we need, like Antoine said, collaboration with the private sector. And that's what we build the Living Lab. This concept that can give us a lot of data in a real time situation, quality data. You know, many cities around Israel and around the world don't have quality data in a real-time situation. So all the intervention program is based on feeling or competition, not in a really a specific area and specific risk. So what we try to do is, first of all, to build the open data, share data open for startups, for companies, for academics, for industries, for government ministry. And we started to cooperate with Mobileye company, with Microsoft, with Ituran, and together we established a safety heat map that is located in the command center of the city. And you can see in real time what is going on in a live, what is going on in the city and how we've done it. We adapt the Shield++. It's a very advanced system of Mobileye company. It's only installed in 4 cities around the world. It's London, New York, Amsterdam, and Ashdod city. And those systems installed on the public transportation, on the public buses. And those systems are doing 2 things. One, they aggregate a lot of data from the road and put it with Ituran on the cloud, and Microsoft gave us a cloud place in the Azure, and we can build a digital map. And the second, connected to the safety, is to cover up all the blind spots. When we are talking about big vehicles, they're a blind spot, and they cover this blind spot, and it's improved the safety of bikers and pedestrians, etc. So this is, I think, example of collaboration with the private. It's a win-win situation because they help us to solve safety problems, and we help them to implement their technology, their product on the public infrastructure. And this is a win-win situation. So this is, for me, the first step is safety, and then, of course, other aspects. Like all the sustainable goals, SDGs, all the 2030. So this is our approach to be sustainable, to measure our actions, and to see in a long term goals.
Okay. And in the meaning of safety, do you want to add some words about the experiment with no traffic?
So another project. So I will start with the smart city, and everybody wants a smart city. Nobody is, to define it. What is really smart city? But the idea is to attract a private company to the city, working with them, learning from them what is kind of solution there are to challenge our problems. And one of them is no traffic. It's a smart light traffic. And it's a nice collaboration. We like the map. We collaborate with no traffic, Foresight, BWO, the Blue White Robotic, with Netivei Ayalon, with Transportation Ministry, with Ashdod Municipality. It's a lot of stakeholders, but we work together in order to close an area for doing experiment of communication between vehicles and vehicles, between vehicles to light traffic, between vehicles to pedestrian, in order to prevent accidents. And it was a successful experience, and we do it without the permission of the Transportation Ministry. They join us in the last minute, but we can do things in the level of the city.
Okay.
So some of the tests, it's not all of the tests, but some of the tests we can do it really.
So the municipalities can lead things by their own decision.
And I think, like Antoine said, it's like revolution. We are like a windows of opportunities. But one company alone cannot do it. And one city cannot do it. In order to accelerate this successful, that give us so many solutions, we have to work together. And this is, I think, the key. And we are trying to work with other cities, with other companies, to teach them the model of the shared data platform in order to do it not only in the city, but also between the cities. Like we thought today, we met Herzliya team and Netanya team, we thought about doing a one-way from Ashdod to Hedera, crossing Rishon, Herzliya, Netanya. So this is something that cities can take together to do a consortium of stakeholders and do some significant things.
Very nice. Thomas, please ask. I prefer question. Thank you.
I think thanks. That is the best introduction I could have for the system, because what you mentioned on the one hand is that somehow municipalities have the unique chance of becoming this orchestrator of growth based on live data, reliable live data. And this is exactly what we are working on. We want to provide cities with reliable live data 24/7 from the infrastructure to the citizens. And the citizens decide actually by using XYZ user interfaces, which user interface will get that live data from us. And but starting from the beginning, whom of you here in this room is actually using a parking app, like parking payment app?
Pango.
Who's using it?
using Pongo here. We don't have to try.
Okay, so
Everybody.
it's here in Israel. It's like 30% who are using it. In Germany, it's like 2%, 1% max, and they're not using it because they lack the live data. Like it's cities in Germany are really complex, and they're in terms of setting up bigger proof of concepts, like you mentioned, that already happen here in Israel. They're starting right now, and this is what we see as well. We have proof of concepts in 12 different situations and cities all over Germany, and we see that they're now trying to leverage that live data. And the parking topic for us is just the beginning. And for us, it's just a Trojan horse to come in, because it is a potential business model combined with saving electricity from streetlights. We set up our sensors as streetlights, that the combination of increased parking revenues and saving energy is a valid business model to set up a decentralized network of sensors that generate the necessary live data you require. And that's the beauty of the system, since we're not bound to solely parking related business models. We're actually capable to open that live parking data to any other pay and go, to any parking solution provider, because we believe that the open collaboration is actually the key to building great smart cities. And therefore, I would not say that SONA is a game changer. I would say SONA enables game changer to really provide a holistic solution. I think that's what we do.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I really like that, enabling other game changers. 'Cause I think that's, sorry for stealing it, but it's also our philosophy in a way. Obviously, creating a marketplace for mobility isn't some unique idea we came up with. You see different car companies building that for their vehicles. You see Uber building that. You see Lyft, Waymo, all the different companies doing that. But when they build something like that, they build a closed silo, a closed system that works for their services, for their vehicles, for their needs. If you look at something like Uber, when you're downloading it, you're using the Uber app, you're using their drivers, their passengers, they determine the pricing. What Dev aims to do is the hint for that is right in our name. The D in our name is for decentralized. We want to break down those silos and allow for a system like that to connect directly between a passenger and a driver, but also to bring in insurers, and also to bring in someone who's going to vet the drivers, and all the different suppliers of services can compete on an open market to provide those services. And I think obviously technologically being reliant on a peer-to-peer network and the blockchain allows us to do that, but also the way that we are structured as a non-profit, we're structured as sort of a consortium that allows us to develop this as an open living standard, sort of like the internet itself is a standard. You have the W3C, which is determining what goes into HTML, JavaScript, whatever. And within that consortium, there sits people from Samsung, from Google, from Microsoft. And even though they're competitors, they can work on one standard together. And that's what we do. We bring together people from different commercial companies to work on this as an open standard. Another benefit is that because of the way it is structured, it allows for a much more to democratize the access to data. So allowing municipalities to have transparency into the data that comes out of the systems, out of the sensors, allowing sensor companies to sell that data on an open marketplace and not just hoard the data together. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I share some of the argument from Antoine because it's normal we have the same sector. But I would like to addition thing for what I said, Antoine. I think the smart city being able a mobility solution for the last miles or last kilometer to deserve some part of the city with underserved with existing transport for deserve for some of a historic city with a very small street. And effectively, when I said Antoine, for the smart city with ecology, with reduced noise pollution, but the services were accessible, easier to use, and effectively we have the smart city where I work for the smart city around the world, and some smart city invest on the infrastructure for the security, invest for experimentation, because the unique solution is to put on the road the services for obtain more awareness and more understand what exactly the customer need for day-to-day for transportation. And the smart city, it's between the transportation, normal transportation, and existing transportation, and adds also small transportation, electrical, autonomous for last kilometer for this, and with disponibility with 24 hours. It's what's the study we can obtain now.
I want to say something. I think that the big game change is Antoine and Smadar. And I tell you why.
So we need to marry?
Yeah. 6 years ago, you never can be, it's not possible that big corporation like Renault make some hub in Israel to think to take a small startup to big corporation like Renault is not easy. It's a different mentality and change, and me and Antoine know that very good. And city like, municipality like Smadar that want to share data. 6 years, 5 years ago, no one want to share nothing. No one want to make collaboration with a small startup from new technology. It's not possible. And now you see that the market is open. The big ship like Renault start to be open to the small startup. They want a new technology, and they try to make a change inside the corporation, how they can make collaboration with a small startup. And a municipality like Smadar try to think how she can share data. I was in the Mondial Tech in Paris. I hear the president of Allianz. And the first thing that he say, that the goal is to share data. The goal is to make collaboration, big one with small one. And listen, this is changing the market. It's not something that was 5 years ago when we start. I started 4 years ago. It was a very hard market to go inside. And now everybody opened the door. And I think that this is for sure the change. For my side about TruckNet, I see in TruckNet something that make a change in the game. I know that today in France we have 4,700 company in our system. Is 38,000 truck is 6% of the market. And when we see the KPI about the result, we understand that we have not all the day, but we have couples an hour of the day that we see that the traffic to the same place, we start to take it down. This is one. Second, I can see that today in Eilat, we take our system, our algorithm, and we create a new system to make fleet traffic. In Eilat, we move the airport. It's going to be in the last couple of months from today. The airport go 25 kilometers from the city. And we understand, and the city understands, that we need a fleet traffic. Why? We have 700 taxis inside the city. We move the airport outside from the city, and we need to think how we bring the passenger from out to the city, because 700 taxis is not enough, because 25 kilometers is not 5 minutes. And we create the system that can we take the algorithm in TruckNet that can make integration with the airport about the number, the capacity, the number of the passengers that come, and we management the taxi in the same time to take the passenger to the city. Like that, we can make the benefit that we need, the collaboration that we need, that when the airplane land, someone come to take the passenger, because we don't have enough bus and taxi to take the passenger to the city. And this is data that we need. And we understand, we come to the city and the municipality want to share with us the data too. And the airport want to share the data, because everybody here come to Ben Gurion and see what's happening with the taxi. It's not nice all the time. And I can tell you that I have the same pilot that are going to be in this year, in 2019, we're going to do in Biarritz, because in Biarritz they have the same problem. In July and August, you cannot you can land and wait 35 minutes to taxi to 10 minutes ride. And why it's happening? It's happening because we don't have connect from the data that come from the airplane to the data that take the passenger. And if we can take this data and we can management that, the life of everybody is going to be very easy. Because for me, sometimes I land, I can tell you that I land in Orly at 3 o'clock in the morning. Orly, 11 o'clock, close the airport. The taxis go home. No one know that one aeroplane in Barcelona, late 3 hours. The passenger come, 200 people, no taxi. No option to go home. And I believe that when we have that data and we have integration with data, we can management. And in the end, this data is going to be connected to everyone here in the table, because this man that sits near to me, I understand that he need the data to management better the shuttle that he need. And if I speak about my data that I have today in TruckNet, I believe that the man that sits here, that I take care for the first mile with the truck. He take care to the last mile. And if we connect together in the same data, it's the same fleet. And then in the last way, we speak about autonomy vehicle, is the same way, because in the end, the autonomy vehicle going to be connected to some fleet, and the fleet going to take the data, and then the autonomous vehicle can make the job. Everything is about data, and I think that everyone here in the table has some point about change game.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Smadar, can you tell about the connection between the lab activities in Ashdod Port?
Wow.
You need to say yes.
It's a challenging question. We didn't start with the port,
Okay.
but the port was the catalyst to choose smart mobility under the umbrella of smart city technologies. Because if you want to be a smart city, you have to pick one topic that connected to the city strongly. And it's a mistake to try to change a lot of fields like energy, cyber, education, health, security, and that. So the port, as a port city, we found out that it's important to deal with the smart mobility challenges. Like you said, there's hundreds of tracks every day into the city and outside from the city, and is like a hub, logistical hub of Israel, in one hand. And the second reason is that Ashdod has been chosen by the Transportation Ministry as a city pilot for a smart public transportation, and they build a huge budget, like $85 million. They build the smartest road in Israel, full of cameras, sensors, smart traffic lights, and command centers that is looking on the road 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But trying to answer your questions about the port, when you want to succeed, you must start with people that want to work with you, with a simple task, simple missions. Like the opportunity that we had with Mobileye. Working with the port is more complicated. And one of the projects that we're trying to promote with Fjord's guy, with the Transportation Ministry and with the chief scientific is SafeMode, is one of the startup that you already know. SafeMode is like a company that try to improve the driving of the professional drivers on tracks. So this is something that we are trying to promote. Working with the port is one of our mission, but not the first mission. And we have to do it. We have to collaborate, and you personally face the challenges of working with the port. It's a complicated company. It's not easy, but we will arrive there and do some interesting pilot. We will start with the startups. We start with the technology, and then we will try to attract the CEO of the port to work with us in this kind of project.
Okay, thank you. Hanan? Yes. This conference is called the Smart and Safe Conference. Okay, and can you tell me how can TrackNet interface with the transportation of goods like in Ashdod Port in context of safety and regulation?
Yes. First, when we speak about safe from my side, I think that we speak about first the issue about accident is very important, and I think that if we management correct the truck company and we take care about the regulation side, that the driver sleep the hour that he need to sleep, the insurance is okay in the truck, all the things about the regulation is going to be inside the algorithm before we make the match. Then it's going to be easy, because if we know from the beginning, everything is clear. We know about the company of the truck. We know about the driver. We know about the fleet management in the company, how many hours he work, when he sleep. We have all that data. We can management that before we make the match from two companies to share cargo, we don't make a match to the company, to the driver that is not on the way, the driver that is not in the map. I cannot send a driver to Ashdod city that I know that he don't sleep. Because if he don't sleep, we understand that we have a big chance to accident, and we have to close that before that option. If we send a driver that the license is not okay, don't move in France, every 5 years the driver have to make a train. It's not. It's something that's very important, and if we speak about driver behavior that we can stop, today I have pilot with Mobileye to integration the telematics system, the fleet management and accident system together in one system, in one box. In that moment, the driver behavior it's something that's very important. And if we know before to management all that detail, then Dr. Smadar can feel comfortable that every truck that comes to Ashdod in the way, she is safe. We understand that the hour, the regulation and all. And something more is visibility about the cargo. This is something that's very important. If we have full visibility from A to Z to the cargo in digital way, then we know what is coming, we know what time, we know the hour, and we management the way that he go, because we are connect to the Google map, okay? I don't know if you know, if we look about Waze today, the way that Waze look about the traffic is not professional. The navigation is not professional. You can go from Sde Dov in Tel Aviv to the Kiryat and you write on Waze and it say to you 25 minutes and he send the car from Ayalon. But if you are taxi, you can go straight on the yellow side and it take only 10 minutes because the navigation is not professional. In our system, we make the navigation in professional way. And that when you take truck with 20 ton and sometimes, to Ashdod you can come from we don't have one way to Ashdod. And maybe we can management in that way that the truck go from one side, from the navigation, and then the car from another side, it helps to the save of the driver with a small car. I believe that all that data can make something about safe city for sure.
Thank you. Stan, you mentioned the delivery with drones.
Wow.
Sounds like the future. But can you tell us how DAV will operate like tomorrow? And then the next few days, okay? No, not things that we hope will be in the future, but we want to know what DAV will do now.
Yeah. So that's obviously a question we hear a lot. Again, I go to our name. The middle name is autonomous vehicle, so it's very futuristic. But it's also really about what you do today, and I'll talk about that through two things we're actually doing. So this was interesting. This was, I think, 2 weeks ago. On the same week, two of the largest providers of in-vehicle data approached us about how they can get more data. And their idea was, how can we utilize drones for this? So, for example, I need to know what's happening in that interchange. Can I send a drone there and pay that drone to do that? But this is, again, like Hanan said, like 30% of the trucks are going empty or something like that.
Yes.
We're all in the business of sensors, and all of these sensors, whether in the car or the city or literal sensors, all that data goes unused. So one of the first things we want to do is connect between all those sensors and people that want to use them, and working with those companies that are willing to pay for that data and connecting them to everyone who generates that data. The second thing we're working on is actually, this is very keyword-rich description. It's a last-mile micro-mobility transportation solution. I got all the keywords in. Oh, blockchain. Sorry. So we're actually developing an app and a solution which we're going to be launching in the next few next few months, that will allow people to order electric scooters and electric bikes within cities, so you can have a way to get to work, a way to get to your where you're shopping, whatever it is. But the way this is different from something like Bird or Lime or whatever solution is that this is built completely decentralized. So we're working, instead of some company halfway across the world throwing a bunch of scooters in your city, we're working with local entrepreneurs, with the municipalities, with local investors, and with local service providers who are going to be providing services like charging and taking care of that, and building networks of vehicles that are owned by locals, whether it's someone who has 10 scooters or someone who has 3,000 scooters. And the benefits for something that is locally owned and locally operated like that are, well, I think a really good example of that is when you open the Bird app. Bird, for whoever doesn't know it, it's an electric scooter renting app. And I open that up every morning in Tel Aviv, and you can see all of the Bird scooters. You can see the way they are on the map. It's the shape of the Rothschild Boulevard, which is the main boulevard. Like if you want to get a scooter anywhere else, good luck. So this is clearly driven by interest of a company from Santa Monica or Silicon Valley, halfway across the world, whose interests are around showing growth, so for their next valuation, and not around the interests of the city. And we're looking to involve cities so you can better serve underserved communities, obviously, you need to have a very good business model there because you want to have local businesses operating that and succeeding. But you can build incentives into the system so that you can give better access to mobility for underserved communities, better access to new neighborhoods, to people, give them better access to jobs, to places of business, things like that. So having a system like that that is open can have a lot of benefits on the local municipality.
Okay, thank you. Eric,
Yeah.
what are the benefits for cities with the operation of autonomous shuttles?
Thank you. Good question. Quickly, my background, I spent the last 7 years on the autonomy sector, and I manage many experimentation at level 4 and level 5. And in this case, we decided to create autonomous shuttle with disruptive, and this shuttle, it's conceived like a car because we use all the components for the automotive sector. The chassis comes from a company called Beta Epsilon. We create a small electrical car, and we use this chassis homologate crash and one in Europe. And all the technology, it's already tested, AV system, localization, perception, decision. It's already tested for 2 years on some of experimentation we have managed in France. And definitely our shuttle, it's for the last kilometer, it's robust, it's efficient. And when I use all components, it comes from the autonomous part. We have a cost with disruptive only about a cost against existing competitor. But more the big, very long speech, it's better to discover our shuttle in CS in January, and you can test because we have already selected by the city in Paris called Vélizy. We are in charge to put in place two mobility pods in this city to serve domestic part close to the rail station. I invite you to discover our shuttle on a rail live on the city in February.
Next event will be in Vélizy. No? Next Smart and Safe City will be in Vélizy next year.
Yeah.
It will be a proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas, parking is a problem within every city in the world. So how do you think parking and motion detection can make the cities smart?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you explained in the question. It's parking and motion detection. It's the combination of both, and yeah, I do believe that here it already been explained. Data is like the key to everything, but somehow you have to have someone who's investing into hardware, which is generating the data. You have to invest into hyper-connected cars, but not, sorry for naming the other brand, but not every VW Polo, which is like in masses everywhere, will have a LiDAR, a camera, because it's simply too costly. And the business model behind is not valid enough to actually equip every car with that kind of information, and you don't need everywhere where that car is going that information. And what we believe in is that first you have to invest some money into some smart infrastructure. But if you have the right business models attached to it, the city won't feel the pain. In the future, we will provide cities for free with the system because we only participate on the provided benefits of increased parking revenues, and people are still going to park in the next 10 years. May not in the inner city, but surrounding. How do people get to the suburbs? By car. It's in Germany the same, it's in Israel the same. They will still go to the suburb and then switch to an autonomous bus or to an optimized autonomous bus. And they are exactly at those mobility nodes. This is where the disruption and the trends are going to happen. And we provide live data at every single mobility hub. And may it be that there's no parking spot needed anymore. You can switch our system via software update, and we help to track the birds. We help to track bicycles. We help to detect whether or not an autonomous bus is getting close to a bicycle and there's some dangerous bend that has to be restructured by the city. All that kind of data can be generated via software update based on that decentralized computing power. So again, when taking your buzzword, it's like I do believe in a decentralized data generation, and since we got that computing power, which is really, we developed that system to be really cheap and cost effective. We got the computing power right at the node where it has to be, so it's latency free. Therefore, we believe by starting with parking and pattern recognition in images and video streams without harming any personal data, which is a tremendous issue in Germany and worldwide, we can really help solving real life problems and helping to enable real mobility services. So it's a combination of both, and always being open, sharing the data. I think this is, if you build a great solution and share the data, people are willing and open for you to actually provide you with another testing track. Rather, if you approach people and tell them, oh, you have to pay for the data flat rate, they will for sure say like, oh, this is going to be difficult for me to do so. So think about the business models. I think that's the most important part. Oh.
Okay, thank you very much. Antoine? How can Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi Alliance contribute for tomorrow's smart cities and for the autonomous world? And why R&M Alliance decided to open its innovation lab here in Israel?
Good question. I think let's start by the second one. Why are we there, and why I think it's relevant to be there? Why we are there is because we try to match what are our main needs regarding innovation. So that is electrical vehicles, that is connected cars, autonomous cars, and operating a robotaxi fleet. And having spent 1 year and a half here, living here, and scouting something like 150 or 70 startups, we saw so many interesting new technologies that we match them with our needs. And so it goes a little bit way on the side, but whatever, it's to apply for those four needs, main needs. It's cybersecurity, for sure we all need, and not only the automotive industry, we all need to add a layer and probably 2 or 3 or 5 layers of cyber protection. And so that's really a very good subject for this country because you have so many great startups. We made a kind of benchmarking regarding cybersecurity for the automotive industry. And let's say out of 20 good companies, 15 are from Israel. So you see the power that is available here for that. Okay. Then we also go deeply in the various sensors you have here. So radar, LiDAR, and so on, because you have things that are really incredible that can see even through a wall or through a piece of material and so on. So it's really efficient, and we need it for autonomous cars. So that's a very interesting thing also. And thirdly, it's connected to smart city and data and so on. The fact that also we are working with the Carasso, the importer, that has the final customer in view. He knows a lot of things about our people that are driving the car, not just the company, the garage that are buying the cars. Is also a very good way to be able to do that. And so giving all that and showing that to the senior people in the Alliance, we made a presentation during the Mondial Tech, so the Paris Motor Show, and 7 startups went for a kind of speed dating with the person in charge of all the alliance for the engineering. So big hat, let's say, and he enjoyed so much what he saw that he said, for sure we need to be there, and it's better than CS. I already saw it, but okay. And so it means that we have the agreement of the corporate that it's fine to be there, and also now how to succeed, because it means that now they're waiting for us, how to succeed there. We will have as soon as possible a place with office, with cars to prototype it and so on. We are funded by the IAA. We are also we have signed an agreement with the Tel Aviv municipality to be part of CityZone and CityZoom, so that are the smart city center of Tel Aviv. So we will have data in real time and so on. We are connected with Allianz Venture, okay, and so I think we have all. Here you find what we are looking for, and then we are providing the right platform to be able to operate those connections between those startups, making POCs also, doing things, and then to deliver it to the corporate. So I think it's really it's a great time because so many things new are coming and so on. A lot of really high-level startups are there, and now I hope so. We will see it in a few months, but we have the right platform, so I think it will be fluent then to deliver all those products and services to the corporate. So I think we have the right tools for that, and so we are happy for that.
Okay, thank you. This is the time for questions. You can start.
I want to ask it after you talk. There's only female in the. But then, when you ask Thomas the last question, I thought it's more convenient for me to ask this question. I think you are planning for the short time and not for the long time. If you don't take in consideration, except in US Ashdod, the autonomous driving era, because it will change. It has consequences about parking lot, about real estate, about maybe you don't need parking. We talked about parking in the city. If you take a car and it brings you where you want and then you let it go, yes, you don't need parking lot. So most of what you talked was for the short time using the system of driving today, but it will change totally in the era of the autonomous driving, and you don't take it in consideration.
No, we took this in the
You know, in our
consideration.
country, whenever you plan a highway to solve the driving problems, when they finish to build it and open it,
It's too
not
late.
good. It's too
because
late. They didn't
I
solve
agree.
too long.
To the long term. And we are speaking about 10, 20 years, and it's very, very important. So you cannot enable entrance of autonomous car in the city without mapping the city with our resolution of 10 centimeters. And that's what we are trying to do with the safety map, to digitize this map too for autonomous car in the future. You cannot enable, promote without data, okay, and without a POC.
You're talking about the input, and I'm talking about the output.
And about the planning of building, planning of roads. Of course, we have to consider to take it in account when you are planning infrastructure for a long time. I agree totally, and we're trying to do it. It's not an easy task. It's not easy for the engineering of the city to take it in the account, but we're trying to do it. But you have to understand that it will go step by step. But the basis of this thing is the data. This is the basis. Data that will consider on the planning of those
But
infrastructures.
the same data used differently if you are planning for the short time or if you're planning for the long time using the autonomous...
I agree, but you have to build the infrastructure for data. And this is take time.
This is okay. But
Without the infrastructure of the data, okay? On
Can I ask-
this infrastructure,
Can I
you
ask,
can...
please, do you have any
First,
plans
we
about
have just
when-
one female. Please keep it with us. Be also a smart guy, so she will continue to work on city because for sure.
He
I
needs
think-
me, so he's trying to be nice,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
I want to ask you, when these big companies, manufacturers, are going to produce the autonomous driving cars?
The answer is connected to your question. Today, when you are driving a car, you already have for 5 years, 10 years, systems that are helping you to brake the car, for instance, to stop the car. So today you think that your car is your car and you are the one who is driving the car, and it's not so much the case. Okay, so going to the next step, what we call level 5, so it means you can remove your brain, you can put it on the table and the car will drive and everything will be perfect. Is it for you a car that could be fully autonomous in the middle of a center of the city of Jerusalem or Ashdod or Eilat and so on, with so many cars in all the direction, or is it only on a highway? And the answer is completely different, not taking into account just the car, but also what is around the car. And so if we are looking at a fully autonomous car inside Jerusalem, I don't know, with no risk, zero risk of accident, I don't know, I cannot answer. If we are thinking that it's a car that can change from a line to another automatically and brake and so on, a few cars are there and next year you will have it. So it depends, in fact, of what is for you an autonomous car and where, and not just what, but where. So, and you have to provide the answer on those two aspects to try to find an answer for that.
You know that Ford they have a testing 10 cars, I think, autonomous cars, driving in Jerusalem. Not so successfully.
It will take time.
The question,
It will take time.
the question is also about, it has been said this afternoon, we are ready to drive a car and to kill guys. Okay, today, someone, a car maker, is selling you 2 tons of metal, and you are the only one who is responsible to drive this car. Okay, you are taking a huge risk. We are taking a huge risk. When you are going to the autonomous cars, should we, as a car maker, or should you, as a passenger, be the one that is responsible of the car? I don't know what is the answer, but probably you don't want to be the one. I don't want also to be the car maker 100% in charge of the legacy of the car. Okay? And so there is a balance also between what we are looking for.
Responsible of the accidents.
We would like to move to the other question. Yes.
Hi, my name is Yaron, and we spoke with most of you about infrastructure today, but when I say infrastructure, I mean concrete, and I mean roads, and I mean the true, actual physical infrastructures of road interchange, and etc. And my question is, shouldn't we speak more about those things when we speak about smart mobility? Like, does smart mobility only contain autonomous vehicles, sensors, data, etc., or does it also have to do with architecture, with road planning, with basic good old infrastructures that we're all using and we will keep on using, and the challenges will change, but they will still be there with hundreds of thousands of commuters coming into every city center every morning?
The world, yes,
Ladies.
Israel is trying to invest a lot of money. There are like 5 projects on the infrastructure in Israel, and the World Bank is dealing with infrastructures all over the development countries. Infrastructure like roads is a very expensive thing. Like $85 million to build the smart road in Ashdod city. So city cannot take it as a mission. It's the mission of the government. So in the city level, it's easier to involve in the management of this infrastructure, to deal with data, to deal with POC, okay, to deal with advanced technology, IoT, and safety and security and cyber that we are dealing with. With infrastructure, this is the obligation of the government because it costs a lot of money, and this is under regulation, very, very unique regulation. So it's not in the city level, unfortunately.
You said
Yes, all I'll say is that it was a general question for every one of us and everyone in this conference, that the stuff begins with the physical matter. It doesn't start and end in the digital world. That's all.
It's an interesting subject for me also as just a normal person, and I try to exchange with various architects that has to design the city and next cities and so on, and also everybody is trying to think, but we don't have any precise solution. But whatever, it's a huge question and small answer for now.
okay.
And I think if we combine the two questions, it's also a question of how are you designing the infrastructure to be fitting for tomorrow's needs. So when I speak about electric scooters, for example, people are thinking a nuisance because we're seeing them here in Tel Aviv, how they're all over the sidewalks, things like that. But last week, for example, I was in Stockholm, and there they have an amazing system of bike paths completely separated from the roads. And there it's a perfectly fine mobility solutions that actually takes cars off the road. So there is a sort of tension for municipalities and for the government of designing infrastructure that fits today's needs, but also lead our infrastructure to answer the needs of tomorrow.
Last question? Yes.
Thank you. Actually, building on top of what Yaron asked, and actually addressed to Antoine, Smadar, and Thomas, you've talked, Antoine, previously on regarding parking with autonomous cars, having them not needed to be parked around the city because you can have them driving around wherever they are as soon as you don't need them anymore. Now, that actually brings forth another problem of hypercongestion in the city center. So when we're talking about the advanced city and planning the city of the future with, let's say, no parking lots and no nothing, or maybe parking lots not as we know them today, and Thomas, building on top of what you said, that in 10 years from now, people would probably be less interested in parking. How do we address that problem of congestion? In terms of, I would like to get like the perspective of OEMs and city managers of how do we address the problem of congestion in cities, because as manufacturers of autonomous vehicles, you bring forth new business models that we are probably not aware of today, and that will just bring forth more congestion and more problem in city centers, and that's basically my question.
I think autonomous cars will not be just cars. It will be shuttles also. Today, in Paris, for instance, it's an estimation, but it's around 30% of the cars that are just turning because they are trying to find a place to park. Okay. So just imagine that you remove 30% of those cars in the street. So for sure, it will be a lot more fluent and probably less traffic jam and so on.
Only if they go out. Only if they go out.
Yeah, and so the answer
Their
is
circulating shuttle will be just the.
Yes, exactly. That's the point.
What are you going to do with this car when it's not?
Yeah, and that's why also when you have a look at who is in a car, it's mainly one person. So for sure also those shuttle will be, I suppose, from various sides. From a small pod just for one person, to a big shuttle, to a bus, to train, so it means that those autonomous cars will not remove all the rest of public transportation system. So I think it will be an addition and removing. In Paris, it's close to be finished with Autolib, okay, but you know that in Paris you have cars that you can rent very easily that are electrical and so on. A lot of persons inside Paris, for instance, it's less than 45% that are owning a car. And after Autolib, this number is decreasing because people, in fact, discover that it's so easy, so convenient to just borrow one of those cars, and then when you want to go far, you take the train or you take a fly, and then you buy a car or you rent a car, and it's cheaper than using a car just 5% of its time and paying a lot, okay? And you know in Israel, it's double the price compared to Europe, mainly. And so I think it will not be just a shuttle of 7 people or 6 or 3. There will be various size, various type, also platooning, so it means cars that could be, autonomous cars that could be really close one to the other. as close as a few centimeters probably. So it means also it will reduce the size of the road you need for the same number of people, because each car will be probably dedicated and also really close. So I think for sure we have to take care to this kind of question. But I think the tools are there, and now it's our responsibility as car maker, as city, as startup and so on, to tune all those components to find the right solution. And for that, for sure, we need POCs, we need to test, we need to feel and to see, because I suppose it will not be the same things in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, in Ashdod, in Eilat, and so on. So we'll need also to match, and it's with the data that we will be able to do that, to match need and availability and so on.
For me, I can only underline the fact that you need those POCs. The long-term shot on autonomous vehicles, yes, you have to bear it in mind, but if you don't provide the alternative, because not every car is going to be autonomous and electric, we don't have the resources on Earth to provide that service. So you have to be open-minded and have a long-term strategy, and that is what is working with POCs. You generate agile, smooth, convenient alternatives, and then you close the city for specific combustion engine cars. But not simply saying only autonomous vehicles and that's it. It's really not the answer. It's
solution.
Yeah, and you have to start with the POCs.
And you have to start it. But your questions, Yakir, about how we can reduce the number of cars. So it's not necessarily the autonomous shuttles, but I'm believing with shuttles. The models like Via and Get Together is a good solution to do it. It's in order to leave my car, in the parking. If I have the first and the last mile solution, like Via to the train station, I will give up my car and go with this kind of shuttles. So I think this is the direction to reduce the number of cars in the roads.
There's a problem that you describe between where the responsibility of a municipality ends and the responsibility of a state enters. And somewhere there seems to be a gap, somewhere in the suburbs of a city, between the cars coming in, the public transportation aiming in, and the vehicles which should stay out. There seems to be it seems to be nobody's land, if you know what I mean. It seems that for the state, this is the city's responsibility to take care of its Einwohner, of its citizens, and for the city, it is a problem of the state with the cars coming in.
So between cities
looks
and into
like
the
a
cities,
gray zone somewhere.
So this is what you mentioned?
Yeah.
The point of view of cities that is different from the point of view of government.
Of the state, yeah.
So that's why I suggest earlier to work with the cities, to find solution into and between the cities, and not wait for the government to do it.
Do you find decentralization to be the answer to that problem? Because the more decentralized you are, the more you create a wider network, and you actually reduce the need to contact either the municipality or either the state. You actually get decentralization, the network can reach all over the country, and actually solve the problem by small hubs that are connected together.
I think you have some models that you can really replicate it to other cities. You need to test it, like the POCs of advanced technology. You have to do some use cases with the private sector and test it into a couple of cities, not only Ashdod city, to see what is working better and what's working less. But if you will wait for the government and the regulation, nothing will be happening. Okay. That's what we can accelerate this revolution together.
Okay, so thank you very much for the panelists. Thank you very much for the talk about the smart mobility as a game changer for cities, and I wish all of us that we will be soon as part of a new revolution in the smart cities and the smart mobility. And thank you.
And thank you for their promotion.
Thank you.
I've got one question. I'm well aware of the parking startup scene in Israel.